see it started, right? Yeah, okay.
Just kind of getting people in here. For the presentation today, we're going to have it pretty informal. We're going to have some information and updates that we're going to give, and then allow you guys the opportunity to chime in with some information and updates from you. So while we're kind of waiting for people to come in, I was thinking maybe we could introduce who's here, and then also just check in, and we're all kind of in this limbo of stuff. If there's anything new that you have learned that you've had to be figuring out, or something that you've been either struggling with or are grateful for, I think would be something nice. So for me, I've been trying to figure out all this technology that we're using and trying to get all of that situated, and working on the work-life balance here with working remotely and having the kids here. So that's something that's all been kind of new, but we're kind of getting into a rhythm now. So Jason, do you have anything that you guys are changing or new?
Well, I'm Jason, for anybody who doesn't know, but the city of Evansville. Yeah, I know we've all been adjusting here personally. My daughter was actually sick for a few days, so now I'm by default home for at least 14 days. So it's been really interesting experience. I'm very used to running things out of my own office, so that's been fun. But yeah, over at the city's end, well, do you want me to go through more detailed updates after we do the rest of the intros?
Yep,
Let's do
we'll
that.
do that.
Okay, we'll let the others introduce first.
Yeah. Melissa, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes. Hi, good morning. Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Yep.
Can you hear me? You got, okay.
Yes, I can hear
thank you. Melissa Daly with Pharmacology. All right. The office manager at Pharmacology. So good morning, everybody. Yes, we are all still working in the landscape industry. It's, it's been an adjustment, making sure we're taking all of the, precautions that we need to, sanitizing the office, the trucks, the equipment, having everybody at a safe distance, driving their own vehicles, so they're by themselves and not with others. Yeah, learning everything with everything going on, trying to stay on top of all that. So that's been kind of rough, a lot of information to take in right now. So thank you.
Thank you. Sandy, could you introduce yourself? And if you don't have a microphone, or if you aren't able to get that to work, you can also always put stuff in this chat up in the corner. So if you have questions or anything as we go along and you aren't able to have a microphone or anything that works, you can communicate with us that way. John, would you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, this is John Fry. I too am working from home. I work in the manufacturing industry, but here representing independent contractors, or specifically, my wife is a hairstylist in town.
What? Where does she work?
Salon Escape.
Oh, okay. Great. All right. So, Jason, did you want to give some of your city information?
Yeah, so just kind of a summary. We are, of course, I feel like the way news and input and kind of direction from the state has been changing has slowed down a little bit the last week. So we've been able to kind of, I think, absorb a little better. All the city hall staff were essentially completely absorbed in the election process up until Tuesday. So that's now behind us. So that's helpful as far as kind of getting tasks better allocated at City Hall. I sent out an email yesterday with some kind of small updates. Again, I am contacting state legislators continuously, people at the WEDC, really looking at opportunities out there to help businesses through this time. I've talked to a number of you folks, and the concern is a lot of the a lot of the loan opportunities aren't exactly what's needed right now. Frankly, some grants are what's needed. So I've been pushing on the state for that. I know that they're starting to have some discussions, so we'll see where those go. I did put in the email. I had read through and did my research on the CARES Act and those SBA disaster loans. There is a slight cash advance part of that, which kind of acts as a grant. I do know, and I won't say the name of them till I know if they're okay with it. But one business owner in town has applied for it and referred to the process as relatively simple to apply for the grant and loan process through the SBA. So I will check in with them if they're willing to kind of put their name out there. That might be a good resource for anybody else looking to do this. Christina's probably heard it too. You've all heard it. The SBA loan process is not typically known to be quick and easy. I do understand that they've tried hard to make this particular process quicker and easier than it typically might be. So we're kind of keeping our eye on that. Any resources that anybody comes across, or if they apply for it or have some feedback on the process, please share it with Christina or I so we can make sure we understand it better and can better relate to everybody else. On top of that, we still are allowing temporary outdoor sales. This is primarily a way from a zoning perspective. A lot of like drive up or drive through windows are permitted only conditionally or not permitted at all in some business districts. So we kind of did a temporary allowance of this to occur until right now it's set at May 18th, and we'll see what happens before May 18th. I've had a number of businesses contact me about that. Typically, to do a zoning permit, it's a rather not lengthy, but an application of a page or two. I've just simply requested that just send me an email with the name of your business and the address, and I'll put you on a list to know that you're more or less marked okay for that. So, if anybody has any questions about that or wants to get added to that list, please send it over. We also have had some discussions about the governor's safer at home order that was issued. As a reminder, WEDC is kind of the go-to from the state to decide if a business is essential or not. I think most of you have probably understood where your business kind of fits into that puzzle. But if you have any questions, you do want to talk to WEDC. They are kind of the official gatekeeper to make a decision on a case-by-case basis for unique businesses if they are indeed essential or not. And also locally here, following some new rules the PSC allowed us to take advantage of, water and light are not, there's no penalties. We're waiving late fees, and we're not doing any disconnections right now during the governor's emergency declaration. So not that it's necessarily comforting to see utility bills pile up, but if that is a situation somebody finds themselves in, you are not, we are not going to disconnect. We are not going to institute late fees. We will, when the time comes, the emergency declaration is lifted. We'll be having discussions about kind of arranging some abilities to pay and payment plans. Any questions on that should be directed right to the utility folks up in City Hall. Their primary number is 882-2266 if there is any questions about that. Also, it's kind of stopped changing now, but up until I think last Friday, almost a daily basis, the staffing at City Hall and kind of services and hours was just changing continuously, trying to reflect either state advice, CDC advice, or just general staff availability. As all of you are probably experiencing, with all kids kind of being homeschooled right now, a lot of staff is trying to split time between City Hall and city services and, trying to care for their own children. So, but there is the last email I sent out, there's a link to the city's kind of a weekly information release that was put out. And that kind of goes through department by department, kind of what some of the changes are. Bottom line, as everybody else, we are limiting in-person contact unless it's basically an emergency. But we are all available by email, some available by phone. But any questions, send them our way. That's kind of my general update. I did start sending out, trying to send out a weekly email. So if anybody's not on that list and wants to get on it, let me know. Or if you are on that list and want to get off it, I think you can just unsubscribe. But that's kind of my general updates. So I guess I'd love to hear from all you folks and see how it's going on your end.
Jason, do you have for that email link? Is that one that we can also include on either our resource page or send out an RE blast to?
Yes, it should have been posted on the city's website and on the city Facebook page. If it is not, well, I'll check later today, but if it's not, I'll make sure that gets done.
I'll give it a couple of updates from the chamber one, and then we'll kind of open it up to hear what questions or what concerns you guys may have. We have been also working on trying to get a handle on these loans and these applications and what's available for businesses. Up until even the very end of last week and early this week, there's been a lot of misinformation or confusion about the process and what is going on, and it's been very difficult to try to get some of those answers. So now that the process has been in place for a little bit, it's the individuals and the entities are getting that information, and we're trying to pass that along to you guys as much as possible. We did have Roger Roth came in and did a presentation on the tax implications for the different programs that are available through the CARES Act, the EIDL program, the Paycheck Protection Program, and then they also had some tax credit information and some other things too. So there is a great resource that they had shared with us during that presentation, and I have it up here. But it kind of goes through the economic industry disaster loan, the Paycheck Protection Program, the employee retention credit, and the delay of payments of employer taxes, payroll taxes. So they have a lot of information that kind of goes through and just gives a comparison of all the different programs that are available. It makes it a little bit easier to be able to understand the differences for it. They did a great presentation, did a lot of question and answer as well. I did get a recording of it. It wasn't great. Just trying to figure out this technology stuff. I wound up having to do it on the phone, on my phone, but I will be linking that as well, so that you could at least try to listen to the audio for that. Or they also are sending over a calculator sheet that they're putting together to see for specifically the Paycheck Protection Program. So businesses that are curious as to whether it's something that they should consider. They have an Excel sheet that they're working on trying to get me by the end of the week, I believe, that you can go in and input your information and then see what kind of a loan that you would be potentially eligible for. And again, that first $10,000 is forgivable, provided that you meet the requirements of what that money is used for. So we've been getting that. We also had a presentation with some bank lenders yesterday, and they gave information on the application process and eligibility and answered questions. It seems like, as Jason had mentioned, that the SBA loan programs are really trying to reduce their application complexity and make it simple. We're hearing that a lot of businesses are applying for them. We're hearing that a lot of businesses are getting approved. The application process may not be as quick as it's been advertised to be with getting the money immediately, but they're still trying to get through those very quickly. And I will be putting up that a video of that presentation as well, hopefully on our website this week. That'll be included in the e-blast that we send out. In addition to the small business information that Roger Roth presented, they also did include some information on individuals and what the CARES Act does for that. They didn't spend as much time on it, and I didn't really get a really good video part of that part, but they do have it on this overview sheet that is linked on our Evansville Together resource page. So if you go to our website at evansvillechamber.org and go to the Evansville Together tab, that's linked right from the main page, or you can just do / Evansville Together. We do have a lot of that information as we've been receiving it. We've been trying to keep that updated. Additionally, we are going to be having these community connection presentations. Jason and I want to be able to get in touch with the businesses, be able to keep you guys up to date on what's going on and get some feedback on what you are looking for and what you need, and the opportunity to kind of connect with each other and with us. So we're planning on doing these weekly on Thursdays at 9. And then we are hoping to record these and then have those available for people that aren't able to attend the meeting. I also just wanted to mention that on this resources page, we do have information on resources for businesses, some mental health resources, obviously with all of the uncertainty that's going around, the changes in business, the changes to business, the changes in the way that we work and the way that we are, and not being able to physically be able to interact with people. We want to make sure that everybody is able to still take care of their own health. And so we have some mental health resources. The chamber is also working on ways that we can connect our business individuals in the community together. Since we can't do it in person, maybe those are virtual, more of less presentation, more just connection type of activities as well. And then we have some community resources that are available. So if there are families in town or low-income people or other programs that are available for some of these families that are homeschooling or items like that, we've been including that information. There's a lot of resources in the community of people that are doing things, businesses that are offering things, nonprofits that are offering different items. So we want to make sure that we're highlighting that, as well as our takeout, delivery, and curbside businesses, and our trying to get the people that, even though a lot of businesses are shut down or physically not open, that we are still trying to get people to patronize those. So whether that's through some delivery or online sale options, whether that's through gift certificates purchasing, if there's other ways that we can help to support your businesses during this time, or that people in the community can help to patronize those businesses, let us know. We've been including as much information as we can on different activities and different items that people have, and that is on our resource page as well as on our Facebook page. So I've been telling everybody, the more information that you give me, the better right now. I just want to get that out there, and we really want to support all the businesses. We're all in a tough spot, so obviously we really want to support our members, but we want to represent the whole business community, so we really want to be here for all of you. So with that, I wanted to kind of check in and see, what are you guys seeing? What are you guys needing? Do you need some resources for working from home? Do you need some more promotional opportunities? What would be helpful for you? What are you finding? Don't all jump in here at once. We have some new people in here too. Maybe if some of you guys want to, we did at the beginning, we had taken the opportunity to have everybody be able to introduce themselves and then state something that either they're learning or they're working on that's new in their business, and giving some information on that. So some of you guys that are in here, if you want to introduce yourselves, I can't see everybody on the list right here. Ashley, would you mind just introducing yourself?
Sure. Good morning. I'm Ashley Schumacher. I work at Hurley Ranch as the client relations manager. I am currently working from home, but all of our subs and contractors and stuff are still out in the field. They're right now obviously much more willing to work on new construction due to the lack of people out there versus, coming into homes and doing work in someone's home. Unless it's an emergency, they'd be happy to do that as well. I just jumped on, so I didn't catch any of the previous 20 minutes of what you guys covered, but I would say we're doing okay for right now. Still sort of figuring out this new landscape and, what it looks like. I think we're still getting slowly but surely phone calls are coming for people who want to get started later this summer on projects too. It was definitely the last 3-4 weeks or so have been quiet, but things are starting to turn back around now.
Leah, did you want to give any other, I don't know if you caught all, Jason gave some updates on the city, but if you wanted to give any information that you thought might be helpful, or if there's any things that you're working on or personally or professionally?
Well, we just got done with elections, so that was on the forefront of most of the people's who are calling City Hall's mind. I guess my whole thing is I think that there's a lot of do-gooders out there that want to know how they can help. I know that people are trying to order carry out and trying to order gift cards and things like that. I guess, you know, those folks who are worried about paying their bills and things like that. I mean, you hate to invade their personal finances, but I mean, other than just doing the random for everybody, I mean, I guess like it would be helpful to know who's in the most dire needs. I know you can't do that and everything, but you know, we've gotten a couple calls up at the city just saying like, is any businesses thinking about going under? And it's like, I don't know. Here's Jason. So, I mean, that I guess people are curious to know which ones are struggling the most and how they can help.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. And I think too, businesses, whether you're on the call or if you're listening to this later, if you are struggling, if you are having issues, if you do communicate either with myself or Jason, we can keep that information confidential. But then talk to you if you are interested, if there are people that are willing to or want to do things. I know that there was recently a group of women in Evansville that gathered their resources and put together anonymous donations to a bunch of businesses. But they're kind of just doing that with ones that they think would be impacted. I don't know that they really know necessarily who are the ones that really do need it. And I think all of our businesses are probably, you know, a lot, if they're shut down, they probably do need assistance. So I don't think that it's a bad thing or something that there should be any stigma attached to. But I think that if you're able to communicate with us, whether it's you need assistance with any of these loan applications, or understanding that if you need assistance with communicating more about what you have available or what offerings you have so that people can support your business. Or if there's things like that where there may be people that just say, hey, you know what can I do? I want to support these businesses. I have the resources available. What's the best way to be able to get that? If we know who or have some information about how to direct those resources, I think that we can extend it to the people that need it the most.
Yeah, you know, we at City Hall, Leah hinted at, I mean, we've been getting a lot of people are at home and they are bored and they want to do something. And really it's about trying to direct that energy of how can they be helpful? What can businesses do to reach out to them? Either assure them that they're fine, they're still here, they're just writing it out, or that, you know, here's how you can help directly. I have been trying to compile a list of every business's kind of basic, what I call their hibernating expenses. So what does it cost you to keep your storefront there, not open, but there, keep the heat on, and any basic insurance required, not including payroll. I've started to assemble those numbers. The reason being, as we are asked by legislators, what does Evansville need? What do businesses need? We need to give some quantifiable action and, you know, actionable items and some numbers. So if there's even, you know, if we had one business owner tell us that gift cards are great, but I actually would prefer we don't give a lot of those out right now, because then I'm opening back up, doing a bunch of services without bringing in any cash right away. So that kind of feedback is great because we can all assume what we think everybody else needs or wants, but then we can also be wrong quite often on that, on the city's end and on the chamber's end as well. So yeah, communicating that, but trying to quantify the need, I think, is really important. When we're trying to explain the problems in Evansville to the state or others, they may not know Evansville very well. They may not know the details of how our businesses work on Brown School Road or downtown, or you know, in the industrial area, and being able to explain what the need is, what types of businesses there are, very, very helpful. So yeah, anything, you know, share it our way, send it to Leah, send it to me, send it to over to the chamber as well. We have envisioned, Christine and I have talked about kind of promoting individually some businesses that are doing, you know, unique pickup options or gift cards that are functioning and open. I know on my end, I don't know how Christina has done with this, but I haven't gotten a lot of information from businesses to be able to, I think, effectively share, communicate that out via the city's Facebook or other channels. So if you know, if your own business is doing that, or you know of a business doing something very unique, send it our way so we can spread the word to folks and get folks that are out there and board, at least thinking about your store and either going online to support it, or I guess walking up to a walk-up or drive-up window that you may have at your business.
Yeah, and I think that we are trying to compile information. We're trying to get resources. This is one of the ways that we're trying to get in touch with the business community too, is to say, these are what we have available. This is what we're thinking. What are you guys thinking? So we're trying to make sure that we have those communication opportunities open, and getting that information out there about what is helpful. I think to some, like as Jason had said, we did hear from business that said, I don't want to sell a bunch of gift cards right now, because then when I open up my business next month or whenever it happens, people are going to come in and they're going to be using all their gift cards, and I'm not going to have any cash coming in then. So I'm going to be having a hard time. Where other businesses may really be in desperate need of that cash flow right now. And that could be something that would be really helpful to them. And there are some resources available. I know a lot of businesses are trying to adapt and trying to change as they're going. And a lot of you guys are entrepreneurs and people that have opened businesses. And I know that this is hard, and this is a little bit scary and uncertain. But you all have that mindset to be able to overcome these challenges. I mean, you wouldn't be in business if you didn't. We just want to be able to help promote and to be able to assist you in any ways that we can. So helping and communicating with us about what's going on is going to be the best way that we can connect those resources. And I think to Leah's point too, there are a lot of people doing a lot of good things, and people that are wanting to do good things. That's something that we're also trying to highlight as the chamber, and we're doing a 30 and 30 feature right now of 30 uplifting stories in 30 days. So if you know of people or individuals in the community that are doing good things, we have people that are making masks, or people that are having social distancing parties, or people that are contributing and giving away free lunches or things like that to people in need, that are doing anonymous donations. We want to highlight that, and we want to make sure that we are still being able to communicate those stories too. I think that the news right now is a lot of doom and gloom, but that's not the whole story. And I think that one of the benefits of being in a small town is that we are able to have that connection, and the town really comes together and really wants to support business and really wants to support the community. So we want to make sure that we're still communicating that information as well. So anything that you know about that, or any things that you're seeing, if you want to let us know, we're just trying to feature all the good things that are going on in the community as well.
And I was just thinking about it here, as the state starts to discuss what they can or can't do from an incentive or, grant package on their end, the way they're going to run this operation is they're going to check in with WEDC, the state's economic development agency, who is then going to check in with regional economic development folks, and those are going to check in with people like me and Christina at the local level. So any kind of, they're going to be looking to us to say, hey, what does your community need? And we don't know when that request is going to come down. It could be tomorrow, it could be 2 weeks from now, or maybe never. But I mean, get that information to us, or if you want to get it more, directly up the chain, talk to your local legislators here. That would be Senator Ringhand and Representative Spreitzer. But get that information so they are prepared when the discussions start to occur, to be able to share, precise need, and be able to back it up with some anecdotal evidence from business owners.
And I think another thing too, if you are aware of businesses that are doing something in a unique way, or having some success in being able to adapt to these changing times, or just times in general that have been able to do so in the past, we are looking for that information too, so we can kind of get that information out to our other businesses so they can think creatively what might be able to work for them. So if you know of ones that have been able to pivot or being able to adapt in changing times, or kind of restructuring theirs, or even ones that had put together some information and I talked to a financial institution who said working from home and the transition to doing that was pretty easy for them because they take 1 day a month and they do some testing of some of these different scenarios of, well, what happens if we do have to work from home, and they have everybody work remotely that day. And so they're able to test out some of this technology, test out the resources, make sure that they have what they need available, so that they can be in a position where they can go fairly smoothly. So I think that those are things that we're going to be looking at in the future, is that once we come out of this, to looking towards how we can, as businesses and as the community and as organizations and the city, to be able to make ourselves stronger and be able to adapt more quickly to any other potential changes that may
come. Just to kind of piggyback over what you guys were already talking about there. And I know that Jason has shared quite a bit of information and resources in terms of assistance for Evansville Water and Light, and for gas services, it's the same, that they're not to be shut off during this time. We cannot charge late fees for any utilities. We cannot charge processing fees if anybody would like to pay by credit card or things like that. But also for their personal lives, because I know that every little bit helps. Energy Services has reached out to us, and we're putting something together for their personal lives too. So if any of these, I know a lot of these business owners reside right here in town. They may not have been able to be qualified for some benefits in the past where they could now. And I do know that Energy Services is actively working very hard on encouraging those folks to give them a call. I don't know quite yet how that's going to pan out for a business, especially a business that would be closed. But I know for their personal homes, they would definitely, a lot of these people would definitely qualify for some of that. It's as simple as a phone call. We're going to be putting something on Facebook for that. And also we can, I'll definitely keep Jason in the loop and all of that in case they would like to take advantage of that for their personal homes.
Thank you, Leah. Hold on, we have a phone ringing or an iPad ringing. Okay, it stopped. John, if you don't mind, I want to pick on you for a second, particularly just to kind of get some feedback on you were chatting about your wife, kind of something like a one-man or one-woman operation. What are some holes you've noticed as you and her have tried to kind of research resources and look for help? Where have you gone? What have you found lacking in information? Give us some insight.
Sure. Yeah, this is John Fry. I live in Evansville. I work in Beloit for a manufacturer, but working from home. My wife is an independent hairstylist here in Evansville. She has an excellent client base of Evansville clients, including clients from out of town. So she actually has clients coming from Madison to see her. So bringing people into the community from Madison just to come get their haircut. Or hair colored. But so she's not able to work. And of course she gets text messages and emails. Hey, are you cutting hair? And she's like, no, I'm not cutting your hair. Stay away from me, kind of thing. Right. And of course there's plenty of jokes on social media regarding what we all look like after this. But in any case, right. So we still have, she's an independent hairstylist. She's not an employee. So that means initially the unemployment opportunity isn't there for independent contractors or self-employed people. And so, but I believe there may be information changing or information where allowed people of this operation or could apply for unemployment. Right. We still have fixed expenses such as rent. She rents a chair or rents a space. And then has other expenses such as insurance, right? So, and then that's on the expense side, but on the income side or the revenue side, obviously not performing any services to our clients, so lost revenue there. And so I first started looking into the PPP program, quickly realized that, hey, this is only for employers to cover payroll for their employees. So I immediately kind of stopped looking into that, and then went on to the EDIL loan program from the Small Business SBA group, and started investigating that. But then I've also heard, I guess been a participant on many of your calls here, just because I've been working from home and it's a little bit easier to jump on these calls. But I've also learned that maybe the PPP program may be expanding for like farmers or for independent contractors. So just there's a lot of information and trying to sort through it. And I think we all are realizing that the challenging part of this information, it's ever changing and changing day by day, etc. So it's just trying to decode the information, and how does that decoding apply to your specific example. So does that help? So I guess looking for ways to cover fixed costs such as rent and insurance, and then lost revenue. So
yeah, and that seems to align with the business owners that I know Christina and I have talked to, and the ones I've talked to have, the discussion has basically been is how do we figure out a way to hibernate and not have to close our doors permanently in these situations. And that sounds like that's kind of where everyone's mindset is. I think everyone's adjusting to and understanding the fact that the other end of this is they're not going to come out better than they were going in, but at least if we can keep it from getting any worse. And you seem to be identifying, I think, the same research loop Christine and I have gone through over the last week of the information coming from the federal government, from the state. I mean, it is changing continuously. They're doing a lot of stuff on the fly, which is just reflective of the situation that we're in. It was a huge piece of legislation to get approved and then to get kind of interpreted and administered locally. I guess one thing I'd say then to all the other fellow small business owners out there, like John's wife, is patience with them all, and check back in again and again, check back in with the banks, check back in with Christina. I was on that call yesterday with the banks, and I was under the impression that the program did qualify for, a sole proprietor type person. And I learned that it did not, but that could also be changing, it sounds like, in a few days. So yeah, it continuously is changing and revising, but checking back in is awesome. Thank you, John.
Yeah, I think that the information, reaching out to the SBA, the SBDC, SCORE, trying to see if there's people that we can get in to come and talk about some of these issues as well. I'm going to be a second. And if you can just let us know too what information you're still needing, because we're trying to, like I said, I'm trying to get a hold of all these. A lot of them just don't know. They're referring me to the same couple of sheets, or we're still waiting for information. So as you guys are finding like, hey, you know what, this is still confusing to me, or I really need assistance with that. If you let us know, then we can try to find the appropriate people to be able to help answer those questions. I mean, as much as we can. Everything's changing, but to try to keep everybody abreast.
Yeah, this is John again. Right. So I've been chatting with another hairstylist who is in a similar boat as my wife, right? An independent contractor hairstylist, right? And so her and I have been chatting and trying to share resources, and she might learn something, I might learn something, and then maybe we can share it. And then of course, my wife is knows other hairstylists, right, of this industry, and right, other coworkers, this type of thing, right? So we can try to help share that information to others.
Do you think that it would be helpful if we were to help to organize? I may have talked about doing this with some of the other entities as well. I'm trying to figure out what the interest level would be. but to do some type of a organized chat with different industries. So whether it be restaurants or retail, or in your case, more like salons and services, so that those people can communicate to each other and just, find out what other people are doing, find out what information that they're having.
It certainly could be a good idea. Just, I think the challenge part would be, to break through all the information inflow and, getting people together in the same area or on this.
To that point, if any of you guys have any other topics or items that you would like us to look into or bring in, what our goal was is to have these be kind of informal like this, to be able to have some communications and back and forth, to give updates as we're getting information. But then also, as we're moving forward in the upcoming weeks, we thought that we might have like a certain area that we focused a little bit more on too. So if there are items that you guys would like more information on or like us to focus on a little bit more in depth, if you want to either just send those in the chat on here, or you can send them to me either via Facebook or email, or give us a call and let us know. We can try to get those on the slate.
Ashley, is there anything that the home building industry would like to see that you can think of off the top of your head?
Sorry, Jason, I had walked away to fill up my coffee.
No,
Can you
it's fine.
repeat that? I heard my name and came running back.
Yeah, we just put you in charge of a big committee, so you'll meet tomorrow every day. No,
Perfect.
the question was anything from that you can think of in general from the home builder's perspective that would be helpful information to start looking into or gathering as you guys look down the road in your industry of what may or may not be coming up.
That's a great question. At this point, I don't think so.
Okay.
I think we're still trying to figure it out and see exactly what the impact is. I mean, some of our suppliers and stuff have quite long lead times right now, but that's just, they can only have so many people in the factories working on windows and cabinets and all that jazz. So lead times have practically doubled on a lot of our materials. But as far as the city and stuff like that, I don't think so. I'll talk to Becky and Noah though and see if they have any opinions on it, but I don't think so.
Yeah. Have you noticed any change in trajectory as far as demand for the new construction, or staying the same, getting stronger?
Well, I would say for right now, I mean, like we got a fantastic January, February, December, January, February, people coming in and signing contracts and us getting started. The beginning of the year and kicking things off was great. I think for right now, I think financing makes people a little nervous. Financing was a big driver for people to do it, in the early part of the year when interest rates were dropping. But now that savings and 401ks and stuff like that are also dropping, and interest rates have sort of leveled out a little bit. I think people are. I've had a few clients that were prospects that have kind of said, yeah, we're just going to sit tight because they're not in a hurry to necessarily get out of their current situation to something new. So they're just going to sort of sit tight. We definitely have a couple more folks looking at doing modular homes instead of stick build, which is something that we do like the general contracting on for affordability reasons. But there has been a few individuals that have reached out to us since all this has going on. I think they're just sort of in the beginning stages. So it had definitely died down, I would say like early March to as of recent. So I'd say the last 4 weeks has been pretty quiet, but the phone calls are starting to come back in. I think people are, I don't know, maybe they're sitting at their houses and, seeing what they don't like and ready to move on. It's hard to say. But I know some of our contractors and stuff are getting, calls for projects and, side projects and stuff too, because I think for the same reason that people are, seeing, oh shoot, I'd really like to get that deck done or whatever the case may be. So
And I know you said, non-new construction work is kind of being put on hold from an in-person contact concern. Crews on the new construction that you're doing, have you had to adjust the way you do crews, timing, number of people in response to any of this, or no?
Well, thankfully, before all, like, long before all this started, we adjusted our timelines for home builds, because we had been doing, start to finish in 4 months, and about a year and a half ago, we adjusted that to 6 months. Just so, I mean, it had absolutely nothing to do with this, but I think those types of things have helped, because generally we only have one crew on site at a time, and those crews are generally one, maybe two plumbers, one, maybe two electricians that are already working together on a regular basis. So they haven't said anything about their, I guess, uncomfortable level. Like, they haven't said anything. They don't want to be there, things like that. Our flooring guy, he's usually working alone, stuff like that. So we've been pretty fortunate in that we've been able to keep things moving. I would say the timelines of product is the only thing that's been holding us up, to be quite honest with you.
Good. Yeah. And I know on our end, me and Leary have had an intense discussion about home inspections and general permitting and inspection work. And we've tried hard to be very flexible. We are like, I think, the individual contractor. We are not going into individual homes right now doing inspections. We're relying on video footage submitted, detailed photography that we can put into the file and document to close out permits. So we're trying not to slow down the process, but it is a real struggle because you want to make sure that you're not putting anyone else in an unnecessary risk, especially if it's an occupied home. So we're being very careful around that as well.
For sure, yeah. I know Becky had on the realty side, she had a realty client that they've been looking for a few months, and they found one that they really wanted to go see, and so she went alone and did the showing completely virtually. So she had gloves on and went in and did it, took photos and videos and sort of gave them a FaceTime walkthrough of the home. And then I know, and they ended up buying it sight unseen. But I know they did the inspection and stuff, like just the home inspection and whatnot last week. So those folks are going into the homes, but obviously he's wearing, masks and gloves and stuff too, and just, doing their best to stay safe. So.
Yeah. Good.
Getting
Thank
creative.
You.
Yeah, of course.
Melissa or Sandy, anything to your respective industries that is unique or you'd like to share?
Oh, hang on.
Yes, I just want to.
I think we lost your audio.
Yeah, Melissa, we can't
Can
hear
you
you.
hear me?
Yep,
Oh, now we got you.
I'm there.
You're
Now
there.
we got you. Yep.
You guys can hear. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I just kind of based on what we were talking about, in this meeting, and then I know in one of the chamber meetings, just the other day, it was brought up, incorporating these kind of things into our business plan. None of us probably thought of this, certainly didn't expect it. So I think that's a great idea. I know that John just updated his business plan a few months ago, and this was not part of it. So I think that would be great, something to incorporate for businesses long term. And we are still working right now, and we do have projects that carried over, so they're on the books, but you don't know what the clients are doing either. That's kind of impacting us. You don't know if they're out of a job, if they're going to sign their contract anymore, if they have, the money for the project. And so even for the businesses that are still able to work, you don't know what's going on the other end. And so, yeah, just wanted to add that. So I guess, I guess I'm getting, anything kind of after this is all said and done, some resources, you know, to pick the pieces back up, whether you're working or not working, we're all impacted. And, you know, just being able to pick the pieces up and get back into the swing of things when it's all over, and know what to do to move forward, know what to do to, you know, expect this sort of thing in the future again.
Yeah, no, thank you. I was last week chatting with the business owner, and the comment that they made was at least we know what's causing the current problem, and we know when that cause will be resolved, to then be able to understand that hopefully things will start to bounce back after that. So that's the only kind of, I think, comfort some are taking, is that there's an identifiable cause, and you know, with this current reaction to it all. So and hopefully it's a short window, and the recovery is quite swift, and some assistance will be able to help everybody out. And I think it's such a unique situation. You identified it, Melissa, of who would have thought to put this in their business plan. You know, same thing on our end of, you know, I don't think anybody really knows exactly what the magic bullet is to help out a business who is being told, just please don't work, even though you can. So, so yeah, thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Did anyone else have any last thoughts or anything that we didn't cover, or anything else that you'd like to add? Well, thank you guys all for being here. I did want to mention that I did get information the other day. Tim McGee with McGee Construction is going to be driving around Evansville as the Easter Bunny on Sunday morning, since people are not going to be able to be celebrating Easter in the normal ways that they would. So,
Christina, some kids can overhear that. You've just ruined everything.
sorry, he's in touch with the Easter Bunny. He knows that. But yeah, so that's something that's kind of fun that he is going to do. He's going to get a police escort and be riding around on the fire truck, I think. So
awesome.
All right. Well, thank you guys. We'll be here again next week. And if you have any questions or comments or anything in the meantime, just get in contact with us.
Thank you, Christina.
Thank you, Jason.